What are those?
No, what is that? You're wearing the same outfit.
What are those? Everybody meet Jake. Jake's here to help me out.
Ooh. What's this?
We're installing new coilovers today on the WRX. We've got this already jacked up and we've got a couple off to show you why we're changing them out and compare them with the new DR Extreme Lows by BC Racing. I am hyped to get these things installed. I've been riding on bump stops or something worse. I don't know. It's bad.
It's tight.
All right. These are BC DR Extreme Low coilovers. And I'm gonna show you what's in the box, and then we're gonna show you how to install them. But first, huge shout out to Rally Sport Direct for hooking it up with the parts and helping us get the Bug Eye in a better situation. So,
Not tight. Tight.
Yeah, sick. So to get started, we're gonna unpackage everything in the box. Woo! So fresh. All right, we got everything unpackaged. We got two rear coilovers, two front coilovers. Some nice instructions. It's going to tell you how to work on the coilovers, adjust the ride height, and everything that you need to know about the DR coilovers. And then your spanner wrenches and an Allen wrench, which we are going to use in a bit. This is how you're going to adjust your ride height and your preload. And then we're going to be doing something a little different with these. We're going to be taking our rear camber plates off and putting them on the rear new coilovers. When I was checking out what coilovers I wanted to upgrade to, it was really hard to find out, how tall certain ones were and how low other ones were. Especially with the Extreme Low coilovers by BC. They're designed to be lower. They have a shorter dampener, but everything else is the same. So I didn't know how short, but this is a perfect comparison. This is a regular height BC coilover and an extreme low coilover. And you can see there we've got a solid 2.5, 3 inch difference from the get-go. And then from there, we'll be able to adjust our ride height by running the dampener up or down in the lower collar. And we're gonna get into how we adjust all that in a second. You guys can learn from my mistake. The reason I'm replacing these is because I was running it way too low, and I don't know if the coilover was blown out before or a cause of running it too low, but I did like a big no-no. And you're always supposed to run your suspension with preload on it, where the spring stays tight up against the top hat, and then these nuts keep it tight right there so that there's no movement. Like you can see right here. This spring doesn't move at all. It's in place. It's going to hold your car up stably. This one has been like this to get it lower, where I ran it all the way down. And then the weight of the car has been holding it together, which isn't safe. It's not going to handle well. This is just bad. It's going to blow out your strut because it's just bottoming out all the time, and the ride quality is going to be crap. But that's what you have to do to get normal length and height coilovers to be low enough. Then the second reason that I upgraded is because on the BR series coilovers that I have, all of the dampening and rebound adjustment is on the bottom. And it's super hard to get to. If you lower it, it's basically hitting your CV boots on the WRX, and you can't adjust it. And I even had it taken out of the front ones to get it low enough. On the new DR series, extreme blows, they're on the top. So they're easier to get to in the engine bay and behind the rear seats and adjust whenever you want. And you don't have to take them out to get it lower. The BC Racing DR series coilovers have a digressive dampener, and what that means is basically it's stiffer at first and then it gets softer. So it's going to absorb the real big bumps in your travel soft, and it's going to provide good ride quality. But quick initial bumps, you're going to feel it in the steering so that you can control the vehicle and respond. And also it's going to give you better, quicker steering response with less roll. So I'm stoked about that. The one thing that the DR series coilovers don't have from the factory is rear camber adjustments. But my old rear BC BRs have a camber adjustable plate. So I'm going to remove that quickly and show you how to do that, and I'm going to swap it on to our new ones, and then we're going to throw these in real quick. So the good thing about BC's coilover setups, and a lot of other companies as well, is they sell each part individually. So if you want to do this upgrade on yours, it's not hard. But we're going to remove this off of our old coilovers, and you keep the inner tube in place with an Allen, and you loosen this main top nut with a 17mm wrench. So with the new DRs, you have to unthread your dampener adjuster. There is a nut on top you take off, and then you're able to remove the top hat. That's just a fixed top hat. We're replacing that with this top hat that's designed for camber plates. Go. Maybe I'll stop then. So we're going to set the preload now, and if you read the instructions, BC says to basically run this top ring up till it's snug and about 5mm of preload, no more than 5. So that's what your spanner wrenches are for. You can basically tighten your lock rings together or loosen them in order to adjust the ride height, which we'll show you in a bit. But basically you'll run this back and it will allow you to twist the bottom collar up or down and adjust your ride height without messing with your spring rates like I did wrong on the blown out coilovers. Jake, you just a blown out coilover. One more thing. We're going to put our adjuster back in to the top. You're going to put it in place. You can feel it. It'll start to click and feel smooth. And then you're just going to tighten it with a 14mm. Just snug. Doesn't need to be crazy tight. Just hold it in place. Good. anytime you install coilovers, it's just a matter of like refining everything to get the right ride height that you want and the right quality that you want. So you just have to measure them all and install them at the same height and the same settings, and then dial it in from there. Let's get them in, baby. Finally. So it's super easy to install and remove coilovers. You've got 3 bolts on the top, 3 nuts.
Inside the... Here, I'll just show you.
Yeah.
You open the door. Whoa, that doesn't look like a normal car.
What happened to this car?
Right there. That's where they suck in.
And then on the bottom, you've got 2 big bolts right here. So when you're removing your coilovers, it's super easy because you just undo them, keep everything together and organized, and then you put them back in the same way you took them out. It's really easy. Like, I'm not even going to show you how to take them out because there's 5 bolts. It's too easy. Ooh, never had one of those before.
Little rubber gasket.
Jeez, that's nice. New hardware.
Yes.
God, thank you, BC. It's really nice to have someone here to help you. Thanks, Jake. When we throw these in, Jake, I'm basically going to put it in from the bottom, and then Jake's going to tighten these up top so that it just hangs there until we get all of the bottom mounted. Ready.
Spot. I'm gonna come in here, grab one of these nice new twisteroos.
Okay, now back down here, you're going to want your camber bolt if you have these in the rear. It's an oblong, has an oblong spot so that you can twist it and adjust your camber as well on the top. And then your regular bolt right here goes in the bottom. And that's our old hardware. We're on that new.
We don't like that anymore.
So you can lift these up into place or put a jack under your trailing arm to jack it up. And we might have to, if you're by yourself, it's easy to jack it up. We got both lower bolts in, and with my setup, it's a little bit different than most. I have 18x10s, and what happens is when you have a wheel that wide, depending on your offset, the barrel is set in or out from where your hub is. Mine's in and out compared to the stock wheel because it's so much bigger. So I need some spacers, but I don't have long enough studs right now. So what we're doing is we're tilting my suspension in at the top camber adjustment, and then we're tilting my hub outwards with the camber bolt in order to get it back to, basically 0 camber, but be tilted, but have the suspension tilted away from the rim so it doesn't rub. So we're going to throw all 4 coilovers in just like we did here. It's the same on all 4 corners for the WRX, and then we will start tuning it and getting the ride height right. We've got our 2 lower bolts tightened, and once you get those tightened and your camber bolts, if you have them adjusted, you won't have to mess with them anymore, but you will need an alignment after you do this modification. So they're going to mess with that camber bolt probably and get everything dialed in if your car needs it. But it's super important to get these tight and make sure that you don't forget any or leave any loose. And you're not gonna have to mess with those anymore when we start adjusting the suspension or when you're adjusting yours. Meanwhile, I've had a crazy clunking noise back here, and I thought it was like a blown strut. It's not. Yeah, my sway bar is about to fall off. Luckily, Rally Sport, hooked it up with a couple new ones. And we're going to do those episodes soon, hopefully at Rally Sport.
We forgot to put the tower bar back on.
We're so professional. Everything's falling apart. Whoops. What happened to these doors? Why don't the windows work? Where's the motors? Nothing's working. Get the action. Get in here. Get all this action. Jake's got dad life. He's got cruise.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jake.
Dude, anytime.
I appreciate it. If you have friends like Jake, just get one. Get a Jake.
Get me.
All right, check it out. Got both rear coilovers in. Ooh, looking so nice. Why do they gotta get so dirty? And got the sway bar fixed. Dang, that's gonna be nice not to be clunking around. Now it's time to put the front ones in. So they're almost exactly the same. They're the same configuration. They've got 3 bolts on the top that you're going to put up through the chassis and then put nuts down to tighten them. You've got your 4 bolts that allow you to adjust camber. And if you can see this, there is a little dot right there that helps you adjust how many degrees of camber you want to use. Your coilovers are left and right for specific. So it's front left. If it was rear, it would be rear left. And it says the make and model that they're for. So fancy. So there is one way that you can blow it on these, and it's to have your camber adjustment going in the wrong direction. So you want to make sure that your camber adjustment, the channels in it, the channels in your top hat run from the inside to the outside of your car. So check this out. You want these channels to run this way, from the inside and outside of your car. It's a lot easier since this is so heavy with this brake assembly, hub, and the sway bar pushing it down because the other side is sagging, to put a floor jack underneath it, under the control arm, back here, and push it up towards it until you can get the bolts in it. So now you can just slide this hub in to the coilover right where it needs to be and put your bolts through. So again, you'll put your camber bolt up here and your regular bolt down in the bottom holes. Make sure you get everything tightened, bottom and top. Get your brake lines hooked back up so that they're not rubbing on your wheels or scraping on anything and getting a hole in them. There's a spot for ABS on these as well. And then once everything's tight and you have all 4 corners installed, you can lower it down and start the adjustment process. I recommend lowering it down slowly so that you're not bashing up into your fenders because you didn't have the right height adjustment or something like that. So it's time to start throwing the wheels back on. And when you are running aggressive fitment and coilovers, it's super important to feel around and make sure that everything is clearing each other. What I mean by that is, you know, your wheels can be contacting your coilovers. Now that you're going lower, if you are, your wheels can be rubbing holes in your wiring harnesses and stuff like that. There's a lot that goes on up in here. So just stick your hand in here, Feel all around, turn your wheel into different positions, and make sure that it's gonna clear. For some reason, I think it's always fun to see the car on jack stands. I don't know, it just reminds me of like rally stages where they are off the side of the road and they're having to fix it, like laying in the dirt. I don't know, but I always think it looks sick. So it's time to get this thing off of the jack stands and onto the ground. Suspension will settle a little bit, but I've got it on the ground and I like to, this is dumb, I don't know, it helps a little bit, but I like to get on the car and jump up and down a little bit and it'll settle into place some. But the front honestly looks pretty close to where I want it to ride. You know, it's not a stance car. I like to drive it hard in canyons and there's bumps and stuff. So we're getting pretty close. This side is a little higher, needs to be adjusted. This is our front left coilover, and this is how easy the adjustments are. You can just feel it click. It's super nice and smooth. You can turn it all the way clockwise, which is hard, all the way counterclockwise, which is soft. You can read it right there. Super nice. I'm gonna go all the way hard to start on all four corners and then go from there. So if you look here, I got tons of gap and my fenders are trimmed out inside. So I've got a lot of room to go there. So I'm gonna lower this side about 1 inch and the other side is off about 1/2 inch to 1 inch as well. I got the wheel off on the rear passenger side and I want to lower this 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 1 inch from here to here and I'm going to make a little dot and then I'm going to use my spanner wrenches to loosen this lock nut, and I'm going to run the nut up to the measurement and then I'll show you what you do after that. So grab your small spanner wrench, put it on like that, and twist. Once you get that loose, you can see I put a little mark right here, and I'm gonna run that ring up to it. So to lower your car on coilovers, you run that ring up to your measurement, and that's approximately what you will lower to out here. And then you have to lower the dampener down into the lower collar. And the way that you do that is just by twisting the whole strut. Oh my gosh. Okay. I made one adjustment. I think it's where it needs to be. It's hard to say with having it in a warehouse that, where you can't stand back far enough to see if it's level and stuff. And what was a short project turned into a long project, and it's dark outside. So I'm gonna have to finish this up in the morning and show you what it looks like from a little ways back. And also, I don't want to lower it anymore without test driving it, because I want to make sure that it's not rubbing. It's not a show car, it's a driver's car. So check it out though. Old coilover, get out of here. New coilovers, who that? Look at that. That looks so good. It's late. I'm done for tonight. But for those of you who actually care about how this thing drives and how your car will drive with these coilovers, I think this will work out pretty good for the video, because now I'm gonna go test it. I'm gonna drive it home. I live up a pretty windy canyon road, so it'll be a good test. I'll hit some bumps, see how soft, how hard it is, and see if this thing's rubbing. And then in the morning, I'm gonna show you some shots of how it looks, how it sits, and report on how this thing rides. Now. Oh my gosh, I have been so hyped to get up in the morning and tell you guys about my drive home last night. It's bright out here. I cannot express to you how much it's worth buying new parts. Don't buy used parts like I did. If I try to buy any used parts again, just blow me up in the comments. I don't even care. Because these coilovers are so much better than what I had and anything I have had. If you're considering new coilovers, hop on Rally Sport Direct's website. I'm going to link it below and pick some out. I recommend, like, these are the second from bottom option from BC Racing. There's the BRs and the DRs. I've had both. The last ones were used and, you know, showing some age, so maybe that's why. But these seem like they're so much better. On the drive home last night, I drove up a pretty windy canyon, and it's bumpy. And so I noticed a lot of things about this suspension. The only bad thing I noticed, and it might be because I have it set on the stiffest setting, is it's a little bit bumpy. So I don't know if that's the digressive piston in the dampener, or if I just set it up way too stiff. So before we go down the canyon today, I'm going to adjust it softer, and I'm going to probably adjust it all the way soft, and then halfway down I'm going to fine tune it back from there, just so I know both extremes. But even though it was a tiny bit bouncy, once I got into it and started going around corners faster, the car just like settled and was so stable and so smooth and predictable. It's crazy. Like, there's no substitute for quality. Even if parts are cheaper, it just blows my mind how nice it is to have quality parts. So also, check out the ride height. I think the front's pretty good, but one of our next videos is going to be about wire tucking your main harness in the wheel well, so that your wheels, when you're lowered this low, don't rub a hole through your main wiring harness. And then the back of the car, I think, needs to be a little lower. Let me know what you think below. Here's a cold start in the morning for you before we head down this road. I'm going to show you the type of road I'm driving so you can see where I'm testing this suspension, how I'm dialing it in. It's pretty rad. Don't make fun of my squeaky belts, all right? I know you're going to hear them. Hopefully this isn't too shaky, having the camera mounted like this. Alright, let's see if this softer setting helps with that bouncy feeling. Alright, I'm halfway down the canyon on the softest setting. It's a night and day difference from the stiff setting where I was at. There is less bounce in the coilovers, and they just feel really smooth, almost like a normal car. It's really soft, but there is more body roll, just a little bit. And when it was really stiff last night, I liked it better. Even though it's probably not the best for the road conditions, you don't want to run super stiff, bouncy coilovers on uneven surfaces. Those will work better on a track or a smooth surface. So I'm going to try them in the middle of hard and soft, just right in the middle, and see how that is the rest of the drive back. And then I'll tell you what I like best out of all 3 settings. I mean, there's like 24 settings I think in between, so you can really refine it, but it'll give us a good feel for, you know, what you'd want to set them up for in the WRX. Alright, I was way wrong. There's 32 different settings. So we're going to set them right in the middle at 16 clicks. Let's go. All right, the verdict is in. I just ran it down the canyon in those shots you saw there, at right in the middle between soft and hard, so on click 16, and it was awesome. I think it was perfect if you're gonna daily drive a car with the BCDRs, because you still have a lot of really good steering response, and it's not harsh or bouncy. It's really good. Since I don't commute in this car, I don't daily drive it, and it is just a race car, but I do drive it on roads. I think for me, I'm gonna try in between medium and hard and see how that goes. But if you're installing these coilovers or any coilovers, next step is getting an alignment. Don't forget it. Your tires will get smoked. Your car will handle worse than before. So take it, get a good professional alignment if you can't do it yourself. Thanks for watching, guys, and please smash that subscribe button. Really trying to break 1,000 subscribers. Woo! Also, all of our Supertuner gear is on sale right now, so there's a link below to Rally Sport Direct where you can pick up great coilovers for your car. There's a link to our website to pick up Supertuner gear, and we will see you soon.